Alright, so what's going on, guys? I'm going to be showing you guys how I set up all my isopods, or at least the majority of them. Some of them are still in deli cups, but I just got a new colony of the Montenegros. So this is what I use. It's from Target. It's one of their Sterilite tubs. It works really well for me, and I don't know. I got the idea from, I watch a lot of Dark Den, and this is kind of like the purple containers he uses, and these ones work real well for me. I can get a nice level of substrate that works well. And then, so what I do, obviously there's a sticker that's usually on the side, remove that. And I have a wood burner that I got over at Walmart. This is really good. I also got the idea from Dark Den. He uses it to punch holes in styrofoam and a bunch of other stuff. So you do that and punch a bunch of holes. I don't really like to cut out any of it unless it's a species that needs a lot of ventilation. But for most of them, this is basically what I use so they can have a more humid side and a more ventilated side. And so I already did that ahead of time just so you didn't have to see me punching all the holes. I didn't really record it. But so yeah, and then I got some window screen mesh that I'm going to be hot gluing on top of this, so that I just don't want any fruit flies or anything else getting inside. You'd be fine if you just left it like this, but I don't want to have to worry about anything getting in or getting out if it's a dwarf species or anything like that. The substrate is not going to go all the way to the top, but I just don't want to worry. So I'm going to go ahead and hot glue. I'll start with the sides. So what you're going to do is, I just like to put a little strip around where I put the holes. This is just to secure the screen. I might end up doing a better one on top. Oh, this is not working. Come on. There we go. So let me get my screen. And then you're going to put it right there. And I didn't do a good job on the bottom portion. And again, I'm only doing this just because I'm more paranoid. I don't want anything going inside. And it looks really crappy, but I don't really mind too much. So this is just so that way nothing gets inside. It looks really bad, but honestly for isopods I don't really mind too much. And I'm going to put another layer on top of it so that way it creates an actual seal. And I'm going to do that to both sides. Hopefully use the wrong one. No, I did. Okay. Yeah, so I'm just going to do it to both sides. And this is how I set up basically all of them, like I said. I also do it for millipedes also. That's why I like these containers, because they're big enough. And right now all my colonies, they're real small. They have really low counts. So this works perfect. It would probably be good for even up to like, I don't know, 50 of a large species and more of a smaller species. Yeah, I also have my bumblebee millipedes in another one similar to this. Keep them a little bit more humid than most of the isopods. Got my rubber ducking. I'm actually gonna trim this more. And again, you can find most of the stuff that like I said, at Target is where I get my containers. I don't like the containers that I see at Home Depot or Walmart. I like these ones the best. I think they look the nicest, which is all I really care about when it's the isopods, just because they don't need something as nice as like some of the animals. Not to say that they don't deserve a nice enclosure, but they're bugs, so they don't mind too much. As long as they have their food and they're left alone, not eaten by anything, they're gonna be happy little campers. Alright, so done with that. Glue gun's done. I'm just gonna give it a sec. I like to pat it down just to make sure it's got a nice seal and it's not gonna pop off or anything. Just because like in some of the bioactive stuff that we have, well, only one bioactive enclosure right now, the crested geckos. Sometimes there's fruit flies in there that get in, and I don't like dealing with them. So, the mixture I like to use, or what I've been using for most of them, is I start with a base of some potting soil. Just a fair amount. And again, if you're using potting soil, make sure it's not got any chemicals in there that are going to be bad for the insects. Just because a lot of the times this is what they're eating and living in for their entire life. So you don't want any bad chemicals. I personally put a little bit of cypress mulch just because it's a wood product and I feel like the bugs are gonna end up eating this, and it's nice if it starts to break down. Some cocoa fiber. This I just moistened. I just prepared it, so it's really moist. So I'm actually not going to be watering the enclosure. I just set another one of these enclosures up for some other isopods that needed a bigger one. But so this is real moist, so I'm not going to be putting any more moisture. I like to crumble up some leaf litter. I believe this is oak. I like to crumble up a nice layer to be mixed in. I'm also going to put a layer on top, but I want to get a generous amount there. Some sphagnum moss is what I use. I guess most people use it too, but. And again, this is just because you want this. Ooh, that wasn't supposed to happen. Again, the insects are going to be living in this stuff and eating most of the soil that they live in. So you want it to have a lot of nutrients. It'll be good for them. And I put some Reptisoil in there just because it's got a mixture of peat moss, and it's got a bunch of carbon. It's got carbon in there, and I feel like it'll. I don't know. I feel like it aids in it. If anyone's got anything like, don't use it. It has this stuff. I didn't know. I'm sorry. So you get a nice mix. Trying to get the sphagnum mixed in there. And again, this is going to be for my Montenegros, so they're going to be going in here shortly. I want to mix it up, make it nice, and I don't like seeing the cocoa fiber on the side. So that's good. Put another layer of leaf litter. And a little bit more. Generous layer for them. And I put some cork bark. Got a nice big piece of cork bark for them. And then now, the isopods. So I got to pick these up over at Reptile Factory, our local boys. Shout out to them. And there's a few different, they told me there's a few different morphs in here. One is called a pudding, and then I forget what the other one's called, but there are two different ones. Oh, look, here's one right here. Oh, I always try to be over careful with the isopods just because. So this is one of the normal ones. He's all balled up. They're in they are like kind of like the armadillidiums. So